overview of the features and benefits of Stamps.com, and then I'll be demonstrating the various ways that we can actually use the software. First, I'll address a question commonly asked by our new customers: what exactly is Stamps.com? Stamps.com is a PC postage vendor approved by the United States Postal Service. We have over 450,000 customers who have used our service to print out over $4 billion in postage. You're joining hundreds of thousands of small businesses that use Stamps.com every day to efficiently manage their mailing and shipping needs, as well as thousands more individuals printing postage from home. And we provide our services to many large nationwide corporations. So what does Stamps.com enable you to do? Stamps.com gives you the ability to print official U.S. postage using just your computer and existing printer. It's as easy as click, print, mail. Just print out your postage for any amount or mail class, and then hand your letters or packages to your mail carrier, drop them in any USPS post box, or even schedule the USPS to pick them up for free. Stamps.com gives you great flexible options. NetStamps combine the convenience of regular stamps with the flexibility of printing the exact postage amount on every stamp. No more wasted postage using 2 full stamps when you only needed a little more than 1. Stamps.com also enables you to print the delivery address, return address, and postage directly onto envelopes in one simple step. You can even customize your envelope with a logo or image at the same time. It's an easy way to give every envelope you mail a sharp, professional appearance, and Stamps.com can even handle a variety of windowed envelopes. With Stamps.com, you can easily print complete shipping labels with ultimate flexibility. Whether you're printing just one label or a batch for an entire mailing list, Stamps.com has all the features you need to help you make your shipping process easier than ever. With Stamps.com, you never have to go to the post office again. Simply hand your mail to your mail carrier or drop off your package in any mailbox. Because Stamps.com is considered a known mailer, you can exceed the 13-ounce mailbox weight limit. The rule is, if it fits, it ships. You can even schedule the USPS to pick up your packages for free, so long as you have at least one Priority Mail or Priority Mail Express parcel. So why do so many people use Stamps.com? You can save time by using Stamps.com to calculate and print postage 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Never go to the post office again. Print addresses and postage in one simple step, and use reference codes for fast and easy cost tracking. With Stamps.com, you'll receive discounts you can't get with a postage meter or at the post office. You'll print the exact postage you need every time, never overpaying again. Stamps.com also provides discounted package insurance and free delivery confirmation. All in all, you can save 80% over the cost of a physical postage meter. You can put an end to sloppy handwritten addresses, giving all your letters and packages a sharp, professional look. And you can even customize your postage with a logo or marketing message. You can put an end to returned mail with Stamps.com's automatic address verification, send certified mail and return receipt without going to the post office, import several popular PC address books, and you'll get instant side-by-side postage rate comparisons for all mail classes. You can use Stamps.com for all of your mail, both domestic and international. Stamps.com is the post office in your office. Fast, easy, and affordable. Now, before we get into how to use Stamps.com, I'd like to point out that while you are all able to hear me, I hope, I cannot hear you. That being said, if you look over on the right-hand side of your screen, there is an area where you can type in any questions you might have. Please feel free to do so as your questions come up. While I will not be able to answer these questions during the webinar itself, I will be setting aside some time afterward in order to address any questions you might have. I do ask that if you have any questions pertaining to your account, you call our customer care team for personal assistance. I'll be covering how they can be reached in just a moment. So now, let's take a look at the Stamps.com software. What we're looking at here is the Stamps.com home screen. This will be the first screen you see every time you log into the Stamps.com software. It is normal if your screen looks a little different from what I have up on mine, as the home screen does change based on your plan. Now, there is a lot of information on this screen, and so I'd like to get started by pointing out a few really important items to be aware of. Contact Stamps.com in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen provides the email link and phone number for reaching customer and technical support. Our customer care team can be reached 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific, Monday through Friday, by dialing 888-434-0055. I should also stress that there is absolutely no charge for contacting our customer care team. Quick Tools in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen provides a list of useful links, such as our Learning Center, a series of video manuals for using Stamps.com, similar to what we're doing now, but broken into smaller segments. Online help, a searchable help guide that covers just about anything you need to know about Stamps.com or related USPS regulations. This is a great place to find information. To the left of the Quick Tools, you can see the gold postage balance box. I can purchase more postage by clicking on the Buy Postage link beneath the amount. This opens the Purchase Postage window. You can just click on the amount you like or type in a specific amount by choosing Other. Then just click on OK to process the transaction. Postage purchases can typically be expected to process instantly. It's also worth noting that this is USPS issue postage. We don't add any fees to these transactions. Now, below the postage balance is the home link. Clicking on this at any time takes us back to the screen we are on now. Both the postage balance and the home link are at the bottom of this blue navigation bar running up and down the left-hand side of your screen. This bar contains all the important links you need to actually use the service. It's our hub when using Stamps.com. As you can see, the bar is broken down into 4 major categories: print postage, view history, manage account, and buy supplies. All of these are worth discussing, but I'd like to start with the most important category, print postage. As you may have guessed, the print postage section is what we would use to actually print out all of our stamps and labels. It's divided into different sections which narrow our focus. Up at the top, we have the Postage Wizard. This provides a step-by-step walkthrough that guides you through the process of creating your postage. We won't be going into any detail here, as I'll be acting as your virtual postage wizard today. Let's go ahead and start by looking at the Stamps section, which we can get to just by clicking on the word Stamps at the top of the blue navigation bar below Postage Wizard. New users should receive this pop-up warning upon opening the stamp screen. This warning just lets us know that we cannot use plain paper to print out NetStamps. NetStamps are unique in this way, as they must be printed on NetStamp label sheets. All our new customers will receive a few free NetStamp sheets in your welcome kit. So if you just recently signed up, keep an eye out for the big blue envelope from Stamps.com. So each NetStamp label sheet has a serial number in the upper right-hand corner. We can type this serial number here below Print Details, also in the upper right-hand corner. I'll go ahead and type in my serial number for one of my original NetStamp label sheets. And once I do, you can see a preview picture of the label sheet below. As you can see, the stamp section is divided into 2 halves. We've been working with the print details on the right, where we enter the serial number as well as choose our print quantity. And we also have postage details to the left. We use this half to specify or calculate the cost of the postage for our mail piece. So I'm going to demonstrate how to use the stamp section by printing out a few stamps for some 1-ounce letters I need to send. Taking a look at postage details on the left, we can see that there are 2 ways we can do this. Our first option is to choose to specify the value for each stamp, which we could do if we knew exactly how much postage we needed. All we need to do is specify the mail class and the amount of postage. For instance, with my example, I know that a first-class 1-ounce letter is normally 49 cents, but thanks to Stamps.com's relationship with the USPS, we can offer a discounted letter rate of only 48 cents. So I would choose first-class mail for the mail class and type in 0.48 for the amount, and I'm finished and ready to print. But let's say we're not exactly sure how much the postage is going to be. We can have Stamps.com calculate the exact postage for us by clicking on I want the value for each stamp to be calculated. First, we need to choose our mail piece. In this case, it's already set to letters, but we have a lot of other choices available. Everything ranging from postcards to oversized packages. I'll go ahead and use letters. Then we need to enter in the weight. Again, in this case, it's already set to 1 ounce, but this can be changed by clicking on these arrows or typing a specific weight in. Also, if we have a digital scale set up, we can click on the Weigh button to have the scale automatically enter the weight in for us. We can also check this auto box to have the scale automatically update the weight in Stamps.com without needing to click on the Weigh button. If you don't already have your scale set up when you click on the Weigh button, this window will open up. Actually, it's this window. Now, setting up the scale is easy. You first plug the scale in and turn it on. Then just click on the Weigh button, like we just did, and Stamps.com will automatically recognize the scale. You'll see its name here instead of USB scale, scale not found. All that's left to do is click on the Install button, and Stamps.com takes care of the rest. Now, back to our example. We have the mail piece and the weight chosen. So all that's left to do is choose the mail class. One great feature of Stamps.com is this side-by-side pricing that we see for each mail class. However, Priority Mail and Priority Mail Express are both showing us a range rather than an exact amount. This is because both of these mail classes use zone-based pricing. The price varies based on your distance from the recipient. To get an exact cost, we would need to enter the zip code of our recipient, the destination zip, right here below the mail classes. Having done that, we get an exact price. However, for this example, I'll just be using first-class mail. So now that we have the cost figured out, all we need to do is change the quantity of the stamps that we're printing out. We can do this up here, back under Print Details on the right. We can also check Print All to have Stamps.com use all available stamps on the sheet. So now I'm done filling out this screen. Before I print, though, I like to make sure the total cost down at the bottom makes sense. 96 cents looks good, so I'm ready to print. Now, before printing any real postage for the first time, I always recommend printing a sample first. Sample prints don't cost us anything, and we can use plain paper instead of labels, so we don't waste any labels either. After loading in my plain paper into my printer, I'll just click on Print Sample in the lower right area, and that will open the printing screen. Here we can change the printer and the paper feed tray that we're using. That looks good. Now just click on the Print button. and this will print voided sample postage. If it looks good, you know your real postage should work perfectly. Printing postage is just like printing a sample, except we'll use the blue Print Postage button instead. I'll go ahead and print my postage now. And when we print our postage here, this helpful notice comes up, letting us know that if something went wrong with the print, we can reprint it at no cost. And we can see the reprint button is now clickable in the lower right-hand corner. If something went wrong with the print, like say a paper jam, we could click on the reprint button, check this box to certify to the USPS that the postage was never used, and then print again at no cost. It is important to be aware that we only get one attempt with the free reprint. We would need to request a refund for the postage if the reprint failed. Before we move on, let's take a look at the preview picture of our NetStamp label sheet. Notice that the first two stamps are now grayed out. Stamps.com keeps track of each sheet that you use and remembers which labels you've already printed on, even if you turn off your computer. The last thing I'd like to touch on in the stamp section would be these buttons below the preview picture, plus group and minus group. The plus group button can be used to print postage of different denominations at the same time. For example, if I wanted to print out one 48-cent stamp and one 98-cent stamp for a large envelope, I'd click on the plus group button. First, let me get this set up. And if we look at the preview picture on the right, we can see that now there is a stamp image with the number 2. By clicking on that stamp, we can enter in the postage details for group number 2. So I'll specify my mail piece, large envelopes and flats, and the first class mail service. And my total cost is $1.46. You can click between the groups at any time to determine the specifics of that stamp, like I'm doing now. You see 48 and 98 for the cost per stamp. Now let's move on to the envelope section. We can get here just by clicking on the word envelopes near the top of the blue navigation bar. As the name suggests, we can use this section to print directly onto an envelope. Up at the top of the screen, we can enter in both the return and delivery addresses. You'll notice that Stamps.com does remember which return address you use, so you don't need to enter that in here, but I always have the option of changing it. If I did not want to print the return address, I could click on this checkbox here. And notice that the preview picture of my envelope no longer includes the return address. If you use windowed envelopes, this is definitely an important feature to be aware of. We can change the font settings of the address by clicking on this button here with the underlined A. We have a wide range of options here, but of course do keep in mind that the post office must be able to read the address. We can also add a graphic by clicking on the second button here with the little icon of a mountain. All we would need to do is check the Include Graphic box and then click on the Browse button to point Stamps.com to the image on your hard drive that you would like to include on your envelope. The delivery address can be entered in to the right of the return address. Note that we have all the same options available. We can change the font, include a graphic, or omit the delivery address altogether by unchecking it. We can choose an address from the address book by clicking on this button to the right with the picture of the book. This opens the address book window. Here we can add, edit, or delete address book entries using these buttons on the right or choose a contact to use by double-clicking on it in the main list. I'll go ahead and do this now. Now we can complete the postage details on the left half of the screen, just as we did when we had the stamp section calculate the postage. So first we have the mail piece. Our options are more focused here. We can print down on letters, postcards, large envelopes, and even flat rate envelopes. Next is the weight, which is entered the exact same way. I'll leave it at 1 ounce. And the same is true for the mail class. I'll go ahead and select first class mail here. There are a few other options here that I would like to take a look at. We can click on the additional options button right below the mail classes to pick from a number of different options to add to this envelope. For example, if I wanted to send this via certified mail, I could check that option up here at the top, and the total cost of the options at the bottom would update. I want to point out that many options include clickable links to their required USPS forms. Clicking on these links will give you more information about the form. It is very important these forms be included. Without the form, I would end up paying extra for a service I can't actually take advantage of. Finally, note that we are only able to click on the options that can be used with your mail piece, so you don't need to worry about adding a service that is ineligible for what you're mailing. I'll go ahead and close this window now. Looking below the additional options, we can elect to add insurance to our mailing. Stamps.com insurance does come with a number of benefits. You'll receive discounts of up to 20% over the cost of USPS insurance. You do not need to take the mail piece to a post office or fill out any special forms. And if you need to file a claim, you can do so right from within the software. Finally, Stamps.com processes claims within 10 business days. The USPS does so within 30 business days. Finally, we have the mailing date below the Insure For section. Any postage we print outside of the stamp section will have this mailing date associated with it. These items must be mailed on their mailing date. If the date is missed, we would need to either print a corrected date or refund the postage and print a replacement. The mailing date can be changed by clicking on the arrows or typing in a specific date. Any invalid dates, Sundays, or USPS holidays will be highlighted in yellow. So Stamps.com will prevent you from accidentally choosing an invalid date. Now let's look at print details on the right-hand side. Looking above the preview picture of the envelope, we can click on the Printing On menu to specify what we'll be printing our postage on. We can choose from a variety of different sized envelopes as well as a number of adhesive mailing labels. Below the preview picture, we have the option Do Not Include Postage. Checking this would print out only the addresses and obviously would not cost us any postage. Notice that the preview picture removes the postage when checked, and most of the mail piece or the postage details section is grayed out. Now that we have all the necessary information, we can go ahead and print out our postage. If this is your first time printing onto an envelope with Stamps.com, you will be asked to configure your printer with Stamps.com. You can click on the Configure button, and Stamps.com will guide you through the quick process. If you do have any difficulty configuring your printer, please do call our customer care team. I'll have their number up on screen shortly. Now that we've covered stamps and envelopes, we next have the packages section, which we can find just below envelopes near the top of the blue navigation bar on the left. We can use this section to print out domestic shipping labels, and you can see that it is very similar to the envelopes section in terms of layout. As with envelopes, we can enter in the return address and delivery address up at the top here. These are both required for shipping labels, so we cannot uncheck them. We also have the same buttons for font options and including a graphic. Beneath the delivery address, we have the email recipient checkbox, a very popular feature. This option allows us to automatically send a customizable shipment notification email to our recipient at no cost. This email will let them know that the package has shipped and includes a link they can click on to see the current tracking information. So I'll start by entering in my weight of 2 pounds. Now the postage details are completed slightly differently from before. We now choose both the mail piece and mail class at the same time from this drop-down menu. All of our options are package specific, and you can see the convenient side-by-side price comparisons of your choices. Next, we have our e-confirm options, or tracking options. Here we can choose from tracking, signature confirmation, adult signature required, and adult signature restricted delivery. As Stamps.com provides free tracking, I'll go ahead and use that. And then we have the same options we had in the envelope section. Additional options, insurance, and the mailing date. And for this particular package, I would also need to add in dimensions. I'm going to put in the unlikely, but good for examples, 1 by 1 by 1. So taking a look at print details on the right, I can choose the label I'm printing on just as I chose the envelope I was printing on earlier. In this case, I'll opt to save some money and print my label onto a plain sheet of printer paper. But I do have an option to choose from a huge variety of adhesive labels, including rolls for thermal printers. Below the preview picture, we have 3 new options. Print message allows us to type in a personalized message that will appear on the label beneath the tracking number and barcode. For example, thank you for your purchase. The hidden postage option replaces the dollar amount on the label with a simple postage paid. This option is extremely popular with eBay vendors and other sellers who receive upfront payment for shipping and handling, as it prevents disputes over small discrepancies in postage collected versus postage paid. Finally, the print receipt option prints out a receipt and handling instructions opposite your label, which we can see in the preview picture above. Looking back at the blue navigation bar, let's click on International. This section allows us to print out international shipping labels and is very similar to the packages section. There are a few key differences. Below the return address, in the upper left, we have the option Return to Sender if non-delivery. I strongly advise checking this to ensure that your package is returned to you if it's undeliverable. Also note that a phone number is required to mail an item internationally. Ideally, you would use your recipient's phone number on this side, but you can absolutely use your own instead. Now let's go to the postage details section on the left and set up a sample international shipping label. First, we'll need an address. You may recognize this is not actually an address in Austria. And back to postage details. Nothing's changed about the way we enter in the weight, so I'll go ahead and enter in 2 pounds here. The mail class dropdown lets us select both our mail piece and mail class at the same time, just like with the packages section, but only lists in international mail classes. Again, note the convenient side-by-side price comparisons. The restrictions section below the mail class is a full list of the various restrictions and prohibitions governing mail to your destination country, all available for your own reference. Customs forms can be completed within Stamps.com software itself. Just click on the Complete Customs Form button. I'll go ahead and do that now. The form already has my phone number, so it's not asking for it at the top here. So first, I'll need to specify the type of contents. I'll choose gift in this case. And then we'll enter in more info. I'll write in book. Below, we specify the quantity. 1 here is fine. And add a more detailed description. I'll type gift-wrapped book. We also enter a weight for the item. I'll just say 1 pound here. And finally, an estimated value. I'll say $20. After the value, we must click on the Add Item button, and then we should see the item listed in the area below. All that's left to do is check this box in the lower left-hand corner, acknowledging the USPS Privacy Act statement, and then we click on the OK button to the right to close the forms. After completing the customs forms, we have the same insurance and mailing date sections that we have in packages. There are no additional options available for international mailings, so that section is not included here. The print details are almost identical to the packages section. We do have a more limited label selection, but I can still use plain sheets of paper if we like. And that's all there is to international mailings. We can now print a sample of our postage if we like. I'd like to go back over to the blue navigation bar on the left. Finally, under the print postage section, the batch section, which I'll click on now, is where we would go to manage any web stores that we have integrated with Stamps.com. Batch is an extremely powerful tool that is a bit beyond the scope of this webinar. To learn more about Batch, you can watch our advanced shipping webinar at any time by going to www.stamps.com/webinar. And again, that would be our advanced shipping webinar. Now, the next few sections here are also a bit beyond the scope of this webinar, but I would like to touch on them briefly. Going back to the blue navigation bar, the next item is View History. Let's start by clicking on Search. In this screen, I'm able to search through my entire history of printed items by a wide range of criteria. In the upper left, I have 2 different ways of specifying a date range. I can either use the drop-down menu, or I can click on these calendar buttons to specify an exact start and end date. After specifying the time period, I can search for specific information by using the search bar to the right. I can enter my search term and click on Go to Search. I'm also able to narrow down what I'm searching for by clicking on the magnifying glass and choosing a specific thing to search for, like the recipient address. Now that we've looked at search, let's look at the next item under View History, Refund. From the refund section, I'm able to request refunds for misprinted or unused postage. To get started, I would click on the checkbox for the item or items I wanted to refund and click on the blue refund button at the top here. At that point, the software would guide me through the quick refund process. We can monitor the status of requested refunds under the Refund History tab. There, we could see information about the status of the refund. Approved refunds are credited directly back into your postage balance and would show a status of complete in the refund history. Back to the navigation bar. The next item under View History is USPS Pickup. As the name would suggest, we can use this section to schedule a free USPS pickup for our packages. You would place a check mark next to any items that you would like to have picked up, and then click on the Schedule Pickup button. This will then walk you through a short process to complete the request. Going back, finally under View History, we have scan forms. These are also known as single scan forms. Here you can select any number of shipping labels with tracking barcodes, and then print out one unified barcode that is associated with all of them. When the USPS picks up your packages, they only need to scan the scan form, and instantly, all the associated packages have their tracking information updated to reflect the pickup. It's a great mutual time saver for both you and the USPS. The next item in the navigation bar under Manage Account is My Account. Here you can, among other things, change your password or contact information, set up cost codes, and view your store order history. You can access a particular section just by clicking on its link. Of note here is the payment method in the lower right-hand corner. To change or update your payment methods, click on the Change link. On this screen, you can add, edit, or remove your payment information. Looking back at the blue navigation bar, the Reports section can be used to generate accounting reports for all expenses and purchases related to Stamps.com. Again, it is unfortunately a bit beyond the scope of this webinar, but I encourage you to look into this section on your own. It can be a very powerful accounting tool. Under the Reports section is the Address Book, which we showed earlier when we talked about the Envelope section. The Address Book can import addresses from many popular sources, such as Microsoft Outlook or QuickBooks. Finally, I'd like to cover where you can go to order supplies. We can do this by clicking on the online store link here under Buy Supplies. And a particular note here are the free USPS supplies located here. Here you can order the free supplies provided at post office branches, like priority mail envelopes. And they are completely free. We don't even charge for the cost of shipping these items. Now then, that concludes this portion of the webinar. This broadcast will end, but I'm going to take some time now to answer any questions you might have for me. I'll try to address all your questions in the order I receive them, but time is limited. If I do not get to your question, I do apologize. And I would encourage you to contact our customer care department. You can find that phone number on the home screen. Again, all of our support is completely free of charge. Thank you all very much for attending.